these times we accepted the claims years ago, but they have an impact on the people who are playing the game today. People are picking up the game, still trying to speedrun it, and they're still competing with these records that may have never been set. And at the very least, there should be some sort of standard to come to on what we want to say is acceptable or not to have on the rankings unproven.
And I'll throw in there, I'll bring up this whole idea of some people, in defense of these old times, say these old times were done long ago. It's done and dusted. You know, why are you trying to dig up these skeletons of the past and look at these things? Like, you know, but from my perspective, I think as a community, we grow, learn, get wiser as we get more experience. Back then, the community was literally a child. It didn't know what it was doing. It didn't have the experience, the wisdom, or anything. Now we have a lot of experience. We've learned a lot of lessons through people lying, people cheating. And now with all of this education and knowledge, we can sort of look back into the past with a clearer vision and see things a lot better than we could when we were in the moment. So now that we can take the 20 years or almost 20 years of history, use that as you know, a guiding light to sort of figure out what was right or wrong back then. So that's why we can look back and make decisions now, but based on old times. It's not because we just feel like going back and pestering these old times and we get a kick out of, you know, deleting times that don't have proof, like we're on some sort of power trip. It's just literally because we've learned all these lessons and now we can sort of see things differently than we did back then. And that's why we want to sort of revisit these old times.
Yeah, very, very well put, and perhaps put into words in a way that I couldn't do it when I was making these sorts of threads. Here's another one from only a few months later, a player's poll. Now, this one's quite a troll thread. Basically, anytime I would bring up, like, oh, Berubes 53, Experts 54, these unproven times, the kind of, you know, the old admin dinosaur guys would kind of shut it down. They'd not want to talk about it. They would not want to do exactly what Carl just described and look at it with cleaner eyes. So as a way to kind of be sneaky and get around this discussion, I wanted to basically be like, should we remove Experts 54? But I didn't want it to seem like that was what I was asking. So I made this big poll of all these crazy questions of different types. You know, section 1, you know, what's your favorite level, least favorite level, this kind of stuff. Section 2 about streaming, you know, what do you like watching on Twitch? Section 3, should these times be removed or not? And Section 4, some kind of more, you know, variety and maybe some inappropriate questions. But fun stuff like, if you had to choose members of the elite community as your best man, who would you choose? Which guys are good friends of you? Anyways, the whole reason I made this entire long poll, it's basically like social engineering, is to get people to answer specifically these: should Experts War 54 and Dan Berubes 53 be removed, without it being overtly about that. And if we are to scroll through, there are some funny answers in this thread. I'm sure I'll link it in the YouTube description. It's very split, and it seems mostly the newer players want to say to remove these unproven times, whereas the older players say the unproven times should remain. Here, Spec doesn't even answer that section. So it was still like a very kind of split thing, which is interesting.
I noticed that Spec didn't answer the questions there.